The design section of Deco Network's content management system allows us to set the overall color scheme and look of the site using the logo and title, style editor, page options, and social site link settings. First, let's talk about the logo and title. So as you can imagine, we're going to upload a logo to be used on the site, or we can simply use the text that we set here in the site name, website name here. But if we're going to upload a logo, which is the majority of the time, you optimally want to upload a vector if possible. So I am in Adobe Illustrator right now. And within Adobe Illustrator, again, it's a vector program, so we have lines and curves doing everything. I'm going to go into my document setup, and using points as the unit, you can do the same thing in CorelDRAW. I want to be around 200 points wide by a proportionate height. Okay, so 200 wide. And at the moment, this text is editable. I don't want that either. So I'm going to flatten its transparency so that the text is not editable. And let's save this as an SVG. So logo for the website, SVG, and this is the desktop version. Okay, so I'm going to come back to here, upload the desktop logo, come to your images, let's add a folder, let's name it logos. Within the logos, upload files. Oh, where did that go? Website logo. There we go. So again, whenever possible, we want to upload an SVG vector, and you do not want to resize to fit the image. See, it looks nice and sharp up here. For the mobile, you actually want to upload a second version. So I'm going to come back to Illustrator, and for the mobile, I'm going to cut everything in half. So we were 100 by 30, so I'm going to be 100 by 15. Make everything smaller. We might even have to make this a little bit taller actually. So let's make this 18. That looks better. File, save as, mobile. Come back to here, upload the mobile logo. The social share image can be the exact same image as the mobile. Make sure again, neither of them have the resize to fit image. And then the address bar icon is going to be something like this. So I'm going to come one more time back to Illustrator. I'm going to just grab this portion because that's going to be my icon. And you typically want to have your document to be 50 points by 50. Sorry, I lost my color scheme there. So let's do color mode, RGB. Now paste it. Make it much bigger. And there we go. So let's save this as the icon. File, save as, icon. And again, an SVG. So the desktop version, you want to be around 200 points wide. The phone version, you want to be around 100. And the address bar icon, you want to be around 50 by 50 because it's a square. And there's the icon. There we go. Phone. All right, so let's save it. That's your logo and your title. Again, we're going to be best off by uploading vector SVGs. The style editor is more or less the color scheme of the header and the default headings and buttons we use throughout the site. So let's make our navigation, let's make this top bar, for example. Let's reverse it, or well, we can't with the black logo. Let's see, let's just do a red. So let's do a custom color. There's a red. That logo is going to hurt against it. Let's do a gray. Not many color options with the current logo, so we'll just go with the medium gray. This text, so that's the navigation. I can set whatever font I want. I kind of like this Poppins. Let's change it to Poppins. Let's make it just a little bit more bold. Make it a little bit bigger. Let's add an active color. So that active color, let's make it our red, or our blue, sorry. And let's make the hover color, we'll make that red. Okay. So that is controlling the navigation. The top bar is over here. So, and those settings are really controlled by the page options. So what all we see over here is controlled in the design page options. Currency, I don't need it. Search box, I'm gonna hide it. I don't want the phone. And that's really it. That's all you really have to do in the page options. There's not a whole lot of editing. It's just what all do we want up here. So come back to the style editor. I can change this to, again, let's make it Poppins. And just for the sake of it, let's change the color to blue just to show you that it's blue over here. Okay, come back to design, the style editor. So this is the navigation. We have our drop-down menu portion, and then we have the body. And throughout the body, you're going to have text, and it's also throughout your footer a lot of the time. Like these are links and so forth. So a good rule of thumb is whatever font you're going to use, just change it for all of them here. Okay, so just change these fonts. Change it all to Poppins, and you can see we're changing throughout everywhere. Headings. So two of the most oftenly used widgets are headings and buttons. So here is obviously a heading. Here is a button. Let's align this left to make it easier for us to visualize. So we can create essentially versions of headings and buttons here. Again, what I would do is change all of these to be the same. At the moment, what really makes these different is that they're often different sizes, they have different spacing, they might be all caps versus all lowercase. You're saving different settings to use throughout the site, and by changing them here, again, you're changing throughout the site what's being used by default. Now you can always override it, but you really want to, right from the get-go, kind of set the defaults. When it comes to the buttons, again, same stuff. We're going to go more into detail with this later, but as far as this goes, you really want all your buttons to be the same size. So if I'm going to change this again to Poppins, I would do it for every one of them, but it's not just enough to do that. It really needs to have the same size and weight. So let's make them all 13 by 500 as the standard. So again, I'll come back up to the first one, 13, 500. The reason being is these buttons are often next to one another on pages, And if they're not the same size, they just don't look right. One will be bigger than the other, and it simply doesn't look right. Poppins. Okay, pretty sure I got this one too. 13. Nope, 13. Make sure this minor action. Okay, good. So now that just controlled just the size. We often have border width and vertical padding. So right now vertical padding is 3. If I had a border width of 2, that's what we're going to go with. So I'm just going to make this all black by default. When we hover over it, this is where you would implement your color scheme. I'm going to make it all, let's make it blue when we hover. And I can see what it looks like here. Boom. Okay, for the minor action. So again, the vertical padding and the border all must be the same for all of these because that's controlling the final size. So we're going to leave it like this, add a hover. When we hover, let's make it all black and show white as the text. So we're reversing it. Boom. It kind of becomes the other one. The important action, again, 3 vertical, 2 padding. Let's make it different than the standard. Let's actually make it blue everywhere. When we hover, let's make the background white. The border can be blue, the text can be blue. Boom. Hero action, 3, 2 on the width. When we hover, let's make it all white with the blue. And let's go with the blue outline actually. Same kind of effect, but just again a different starting point. And then the add to cart, let's just make it become blue wherever it's black. Again, border width needs to be 2. Now all the buttons are the right size, they've got our color scheme, and we're good to go. Very important that you take care of the style editor right from the get-go. All right, the last part that you can essentially control of the site's design is the designer itself. So if I come to the designer's page, there's not much I can control when it comes to the look of the design tool. The primary decision I can make is, does the design tool take up the full screen or not? So if I come to the full screen settings, I'm going to say no. I don't want it to be full screen and hide the navigation. I like seeing the navigation. But within the design style editor, I can come down here and I can add the different, I can essentially set the color scheme I want it to be. So if I want this background color to be my blue, I absolutely can. If I want to change the text color to white, I can. Again, design, style editor, the change product button, let's make it blue. So you can set the designer's color scheme down here at the very bottom. Last portion of the design is the social site links. These are very straightforward and simple. You put in the last portion of the URL for your social network that you're trying to link, whether it be Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, or YouTube. Once you have done that, at any point on the site, you can use the social networking widgets. So I can drop them anywhere. And when we're using the global links, they'll display the icons and I control the way they look and act when they're hovered upon. So after you, again, it's just very important. You select your theme of the site, then you go into the design and you set the general color scheme, the header look, and then you can start going after the pages. Hopefully you find this video helpful, and thank you for watching.